Tremors review, take one.
Hey guys, I am Nate Dunning. Of course, Nate Dunning Films. I'm here to review Tremors, which was my first review crew upload. The Review Central, you know. Now I'm actually going to be reviewing all 4 films today. Now, what I have is just the normal DVD. It does come with a few special features, but it does come with all 4 films. I don't know if anybody's ever seen all 4 films, but I'm a fan of pretty much, definitely the first 3. Of course, 2 films on 1 disc. Now, the first Tremors film is a classic 80s. I think it came out in 1989, if I remember correctly. So, it's definitely in the era where horror films sort of started dying out in the 80s. Definitely slasher films. Now, the first Tremors film, it really does have a very simplistic plot. It's pretty much just giant man-eating worms that try to eat people. That really is. But it's got an awesome cast. Reba McEntire, the country singer. Michael Gross, who played on Family Ties. Kevin Bacon, you know, from Friday the 13th and Apollo 13. Fred Ward. You know, it's just got an amazing cast. Amazing acting, by the way, as well. Now, if you guys know me, I'm not a reviewer where I take 5-10 minutes to review the plot. You know, personally, I think in a review you should just come up here and just say, I like this, I like that, and you give it, you know, you shouldn't really say the plot, but just the basic plot, which, like I said, which is how I review films. So you're not going to see much of the plot, because it sort of ruins the film, but pretty much just in the first one, giant man-eating worms that try to eat people. And it does got a bit of gore. You know, like brains and all that, so it'll definitely, I think, for the 80s, it will satisfy goremongers and people of that sort. It's just an awesome film. It remains in my top 3 favorite films, horror films of all time. And yeah, in 1996 there came direct to, of course, VHS at the time, Tremors 2, Aftershocks, which I just want to say, this time they're not in Perfection Valley, which is where the first Tremors happened. This time it's in Mexico, and yes, at the actual Mexico, not like New Mexico. You know, and pretty much the worms change. That is all I'm going to say, is, you know, they're trying to kill the worms in Mexico, and all of a sudden they change. The only people that return are Michael Gross and Fred Ward. I think those are pretty much the only 2 people that return from the original. So it's kind of a letdown. But at least we got Burt Gummer, who is just freaking awesome, and my camera guy is going like this in the background. So, Burt Gummer is this gun-toting, you know, army guy. I think he is the best character of the whole franchise, at least the first 3. And so yeah, pretty much just Tremors 2. Like I said with the first one, Tremors 2 is fantastic acting. It's got huge explosions of the worms blowing up and just guts and everything. So it is fantastic. And then the worms change, like I said, so it'll definitely give the shock to you. And then in 2001, Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, came to DVD and VHS. By the way, only the first Tremors came to theaters. The rest were all straight to VHS. Tremors 3 actually stars a lot of the original from the people from the original, you know, like Nancy and Mindy and, you know, just a lot of the townsfolk from the original that are still alive. And pretty much there hasn't been attack of these giant worms in 11 years, you know, 11, 12 years. So, of course, one ends up, and, you know, it's pretty much an albino. You know, it can't mate, it cannot reproduce. Like I said, the worms change in part 2. So since this Tremor thing isn't actually, since it's albino, it cannot change into the creatures it does to in part 2. Tremors 3. The creatures change again. I'll give you guys a real good hint. Tremors 1, of course, they're the worms. Tremors 2, they change, and all I'm going to say is now they can walk on the land. Tremors 3, now they can fly. Which actually goes back to a line in the original Tremors where Kevin Bacon says, what, you know, can they do? Can they fly? You know, and then, of course, by part 3, they actually can fly. But overall, actually, I think a little less entertaining than parts 1 or 2. It just felt like it was made for TV. I don't know. I mean, I still like it. I'm not saying don't watch it, but definitely recommend Part 3 as well. Actually has this awesome opening with Burt Gummer on these two 50 caliber anti-aircraft machine gun turret. So he's killing all the creatures that come out from Part 2. So it's just awesome. It's definitely got, of course, the explosions and the guns that these films have. Tremors 4 is actually a prequel and a semi-remake in a way. It takes place, of course, before the original Tremors. So in a way, it's like the first Tremors. You know, it's hard to explain. But it takes place in 1889, and pretty much Burt Gummer's grandfather, Hiram Gummer, owns a mine, and the people in the mine pretty much start dying off. It's kind of like we already know the rules. You know, the worms hunt by sound, they cannot see, and they give off an odor, but we all relearn it in Part 4. It's sort of like a vampire film. Every vampire film you see, it's the same exact rules, you know, but each film you relearn them, you know. They say it over and over, so it's kind of like something like that. But pretty much, like I said, it's pretty much just a semi-remake, and but a prequel at the same time. Remake-wise, it's not too much, but there are things, you know, like the characters really do resemble characters from the first film. So maybe that's just because of me, I don't know, but I did kind of see that. So it's a prequel pretty much. And in my opinion, it does fall short of a Tremors film. Anyway, I'm going to rate Tremors 1 a 9.5 out of 10 stars. Highly, highly recommend it. And Tremors 2 I'm probably going to give an 8 out of 10. Also highly recommend that one. Tremors 3 I would probably give a 7 out of 10. I still would recommend it, but I wouldn't be like, drop everything, you know, and go rent it. Tremors 4 I'd probably only give about, I'd say maybe a 5.5 out of 10. As like I said, it's not as good, but it's decent. I prefer to see it as a trilogy, just 1, 2, and 3. I don't even consider Part 4 the franchise, but it's still a cool film. I highly recommend these 4 Tremors films. They're very funny. They're actually horror comedies, by the way. And like I said, Tremors still remains to be definitely in my top 3 favorite films. Hopefully you guys liked my first review, and for the review crew. And I will see you guys later. Bye.